have also used it. And we also have a video from a Nigerian actor who was very moved by that narrative and was endorsing President Akufo Addo, including calling upon prayer warriors to pray for him. We have students in the studio tonight who will tell us, as young people, how they looked at that video, how they understood it, what is their impression of it, and what is their sense of the duty that the president seems to be imposing on us. We've drawn them from some from the debating society, some from other aspects of the University of Ghana, and some national service people who have just finished the university. Basically, they are all young people joining us in the studio tonight. Hi, studio audience. Can we get a round of applause from you? Okay, so that's the audience. We will now shift our attention to bring you the down memory lane 1 year later from the election night results in Metro TV. Samuel Abujinapo, Samuel Atamensa, Imanis Franklin Kujo, and Mr. Adawudu of the NDC. We had some heated debate and some fun. This is how it turned out a year ago. Sam Atamensa has just joined us, and he has been in the central region where he voted most of the time. He's managing director of CTFM and is here as part of the collaboration. Sam, so what do you have? Do you have information that something is changing over there?
Well, for what we have been monitoring at City, I mean, we don't have, I think for all that we are discussing, we can only use figures that have been declared at the polling stations and then do our own projections. So I'm not here to talk about certified figures. For what we have seen, the NDC is losing its grip on the central region. I mean, that's clear from what we have seen.
You see, I will continue to insist that it is not for nothing that you have had no figures coming from the quarters of NDC.
Except to say that President Mahama is in a comfortable lead.
That I can assure you is a fact, and that is what is going
to prevail. But are you not being unfair to the media and to the people of Ghana? That is what is going to prevail. Ali, are you not being unfair to us? Just foisting on us a simple statement of President Mahama is in the lead without offering us any basis, any details, any data, just to say that President Mahama is in a comfortable lead.
Actually, I'm doing the media and the viewers a favor by taking my time and making sure I churn out information only when I am done and knowing that this is the accurate representation of the facts on the ground, even though I have indicated that the president is winning. So I'm actually doing the media a favor.
The next theme of our conversation will be what happened in the Volta region. Let's do some analysis.
In 2008, some 2 or 3 hours after the polls closed, the NDC came out with figures. Yes, maybe you were not around.
In 2000, you mean in 2004?
That's because they were in the opposition.
Two election cycles ago.
You mean in 2004 when the late Jacob declared the results?
That also happened.
I needed to remind him. In 2004.
I'm just making a point.
He's just showing the inconsistency with your situation right now.
Absolutely. That in 2008, 2-3 hours, they came out with figures. Koku Anido issued a statement which actually threatened Dr. Faraja and said if he declares any results contrary to what they have put out, and all the rest is history. But what is the MPP's position? What is our position? But of course.
But you have a giant screen there from what we saw. You have a giant screen there.
And we say that these are provisional results.
Okay, so what you are seeing on the screen right now is the results from sources close to the MPP. And you can see that of 74%, now if you look at the top left of your screen, of 74%, 74.32% of the total polling stations in and collated, and the outstanding is 25.68%. The MPP candidate, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo Addo, they reckon has 54.97%, representing 4,367 of the votes and 504,000. With President Mahama, 43.35% at 3,444,228%. So that's really the big deal right now. But I don't know whether it's okay for the MPP to publish it. Samens made a point about polling station results. That at midnight, polling station results are declared, they are public.
Paul, hold on.
And anyone can put them together. Let me get Franklin.
Yes, anyone can put them together.
Is that okay for Samens to say that? Abu said earlier on that Collation results is a function of resources.
Yes.
If you have resources, you just get 29,000 police station results.
And by resources, I don't mean monetary resources, human resource, everything. Put them.
And the practice in Ghana is that police station results are declared at the police station. So by now, which is 1 a.m., almost every police station has now been declared.
We've put them together.
If you have access to those polling stations, some think there's nothing wrong with putting them together and determining who is winning the election. Is that okay?
I think to some extent it is okay. You know, you recall when the Electoral Commission announced that they were going to do some outsourcing for the declaration, actually the conveying or transmitting of results. Some of us put out a post and suggested that you probably don't need that type of money, and what you really need is to get mobile phones to people you trust to send and tell you the results, and they can do that simultaneously while they are telling the other parties. So with the same, arguing on that same score, it is fairly easy if you did indeed have resources, even if you bought a 30 Ghana cedi phone for 29,000 polling stations, you could easily be able to get the results. But if you're asking whether it is responsible
to publicize it.
Yeah. I mean, to some extent, it's part of the trust issues that we have to deal with as a country. I don't really think that it is necessarily wrong. I mean, we can learn from other places. I mean, talk about my own Trump. I mean, he had his own collation center. I mean, they were doing their own thing. And it was clear, even though CNN was lying, it was clear that they had already won the elections, you know. So these things, I think we are in a modern age, and it's very important that we do some of these things.
What is the law? What does the law say about election declaration, election results, announcements, and the rest? And we need to take it from first principle. The law is that, Paul, when we conduct elections at the polling station, the provisions of CI 94 gives the presiding officer, in other words, the returning officer for the polling station, the legal mandate to declare results for the particular polling station. So the presiding officer has a legal mandate to declare results for the particular polling station, and that becomes the certified results of the Electoral Commission for that particular polling station. The law also enjoins the presiding officer and as well as the returning officer, the presiding officer or the returning officer, to publicize the polling station results, and in addition give a duplicate copy of the statement of result for the particular polling station to all the political parties. This requirement was met by returning officers for all the 29,000 polling stations. What the New Patriotic Party has simply done is to put in place an effective, competent, and efficient mechanism of taking stock of all these results which have been validly and legally declared by returning officers of the Electoral Commission for the various polling stations across the country, and sum them up, and thereafter giving notice to the world as to what the figures are. Paul, when the returning officer pastes the statement of results at the polling station, in fact, in law, it is constructive notice to the world that these are the results for the particular polling station,
and therefore legitimate.
And
can be applied.
And can be applied.
If you look at the entire polling stations in the country, 80% have reported their results, and we are confident that the remaining 20% cannot overturn any. Inshallah, from the pink sheets obtained from the polling stations, is that this is where the results declared at the polling stations, collated together on our own para collation sheets, para vote tabulation, leads the election to. And we think it's about time that we call on our opponents to concede and congratulate.
Out of 166 constituencies that we have done so far, the NDC of President Mahama has 50.6, and Akufo Addo is at 49.04. I am saying that out of 166 constituencies that we have analyzed, President Mahama is at 50.6% and Akufo Addo is at 49.04. So President Mahama is leading Nana Akufo Addo.
We have MPs who have won their seat on our side, but it's all over the social media that they have lost their seats. And they have put those names together and say so, all of them are down, they've lost their seat. Meanwhile, the situation on the ground is contrary to what is being circulated on social media. And you go and organize a press conference and you are declaring yourself a winner when the Electoral Commission has not even certified a single result. Isn't it an act of irresponsibility?
There's also concerns that Mutala, the Deputy Minister of Trade, which constituency is that?
Nanton.
That he may also have
say goodbye to Parliament.
Yeah.
But you know, my friend Ali.
That's false.
Ali. Is it Ali? No, hold on. Samet, is it Ali or Ali? Ali. Paul, you recall when you recall when the Americans invaded Iraq. You recall?
Yes. Which of them? They went to Iraq twice.
2003, the second one.
The second one, okay.
The Saddam Hussein one. You recall when Saddam had almost been captured? And Chemical Ali was busy saying, Chemical Ali was busy. This is the Ali we have in the studio. No, we have to bomb them. Your big men themselves know that the thing is over. And you are here busily trying to.
Gentlemen, we'll reconvene. Gentlemen, okay, frankly, I'm ending the program.
Charlie, Christmas they come. NASCO go shake the market again with huge discounts and free gifts. You go get the 24-inch NASCO digital satellite television for 599 Ghana cedis, or the 32-inch for just 799 Ghana cedis. Even the 50-inch set, you go get them for 1,999 Ghana cedis per. They come with free home theater and a wall mount.
Then the market go be well for this Christmas.
That's in the starts now. You talk say Christmas, and you can also get yourself a NASCO air conditioner for 1,199 Ghana cedis and get a free AC bracket.
People will enjoy it, Papa.
If it's a gas cooker where you like, pick up the 4-burner NASCO cooker, which is ranging from 499 Ghana cedis to 1,090 Ghana cedis, and you go get yourself free kettle. Or if it be the 5-burner stainless steel one you want, you get yourself a free oven toaster. The NASCO Christmas warmer promotion is available in all NASCO showrooms and authorized dealers. NASCO, bring home happiness.
Be a part of our daily programming for all major social media networks. Don't forget, we are big on your views. Share them on www.facebook.com/MetroTVGH. Follow our handle on Twitter at MetroTVGH. For news, #MetroTVNews. For sports, #MetroTVSports. And for entertainment, #MetroTV Showbiz. Follow our post and join the Metro TV family on Instagram with handle MyMetroTV. And there's more. Find us on our YouTube channel anywhere in the world. It's Metro News and Metro Sports on YouTube, or you can WhatsApp us on 055-425-2525. Visit us on www.mymetrotv.tv. Metro TV, never a dull moment.
Yeah. So did you enjoy that? That's what happened here a year ago. And tonight, though, our studio audience students are going to talk to us about that famous narrative that President Akufo Addo produced when he hosted a press conference with the French President Mr. Macron. But anyway, my dear ladies, let's start with Anakunedu. Where were you last year? What did you do? Where did you vote?
Well, I voted in Tema. And, in anticipating the results, in fact, I was very excited. So I was just tuning from one channel to the other, waiting to hear what the journalists have for us in terms of the results. We heard of press conference, which made us put a little panic in us, but we were still waiting, me and my family. So were
you not in school? Were you not in...
No. I didn't go to school that day. I was at home. After voting, I rushed home. I voted in Tema and I came back to Dansoman to watch TV.
Why do you live in Dansoman and you voted in Tema?
Well, I've been voting in Tema.
Okay, so this was not your first election?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone amongst you that was the first time of voting? Okay, let's give the mic to the first timers. Okay, so it was your first time of voting?
Yeah, it was my first time of voting.
And what happened?
Well, it was an interesting election because I was looking forward to it. It was the first time that I was voting, so I was anxious and we were on break at the time, so I rushed to join the queue as early as possible so that I can vote quickly and go to see how the proceedings were happening. But an interesting aspect of it was that I had the opportunity to be working with the EC. So I had the chance to go and to go vote and come to continue working for the EC.
What were you doing? Were you a presiding officer?
No, I was actually issuing out the ballot papers at the time.
In which constituency?
That was in the Ablekuma Central constituency.
Okay, so this is were you paid for that or is it a volunteer job?
It was a volunteer, but we're giving some allowances there.
But you voted on voting day, same day as...
Yes, we had a chance to vote on that day.
Okay, that's nice. So how did your day end?
Well, it ended, I think, just after we had finished counting. I had a chance to count the presidential ballots and all the parliamentary ballots. So all the crowd were waiting to hear what was happening. And something was quite intimidating. The first time doing that too was intimidating. So we counted everything. The MPP guys won in that particular area, so they were all excited. We joined the EC bus to go to the collation center, and the whole place was just full of chaos. Everybody was around the place waiting to see as the results were trickling in, waiting to see what's actually happening. It was exciting though, and the first time the whole place was choked up. The traffic was heavy. Everybody was crowded there. The EC officials and some of the party officials also was there. So it was exciting. It was a nice experience though.
Let's take another first timer who is a lady. Do you have a lady first timer who voted? First time, okay. Any other? Were you first time voter? Okay, let's hear you. So that's Abna.
Yes,
okay.
I was also a first-time voter, but my experience wasn't as exciting as his was. I actually wasn't so excited to vote. My dad had to call me like 4 times before I actually got out of the house. He was like, I have put somebody in the queue for you. Hurry up and come and vote. I want my favorite candidate to win. I'm going to pay your transportation from your house to the polling center. Just come. So, I mean, after several persuasions, I had to get up and go vote. And after that...
Did you vote in both presidential and parliamentary?
Yes, I did. I voted in both. So after voting, I just...
Did you vote for the same party in both presidential and parliamentary?
No, I did not.
You did a skirt and blouse?
Exactly.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
Was that also on your father's admonitions or your own decision?
One was by his admonition. The other was my own decision.
I see. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. A round of applause for her. That's nice. Okay, so we will now go and watch the our main program for today is to get these students to tell us what they think about creating a Ghana Beyond Aid or creating an Africa Beyond Aid. During his recent visit to Ghana, President Emmanuel Macron was treated to a press conference by President Akufo Addo, and in an answer to one of the questions asked by the media people, the journalists, President Akufo Addo gave a whole big narrative about how he felt that aid is not the way forward, and he's been consistent on this matter right from the UN General Assembly to giving a speech in London recently about Africa Beyond Aid. He's been very consistent about creating a Ghana Beyond Aid, in fact, from his sessional address. But this was a very powerful narrative that he gave out in which, at the press conference that he hosted for the French president. Later on, we'll show you how global this speech has now become, in addition to international media putting it up on their various platforms in new media and social media. a Nigerian actor has put up a video completely endorsing the statement and saying other things that we'll show you as well. So let's go now and see the video, which I'm sure you've seen already. When we come back, our studio audience will tell us, as young people, what do they feel about that? How do they receive this challenge from the president? So here's the video.
I think there is a fundamental misstatement of the issue in the question. We can no longer continue to make policy for ourselves, in our country, in our region, in our continent, on the basis of whatever support the Western world or France or the European Union can give us. It will not work. It has not worked, and it will not work. Our responsibility is to charter a path which is about how we can develop our nations ourselves. It is not right for a country like Ghana, 60 years after independence, to still have its health and education budgets being financed on the basis of the generosity and charity of European taxpayers. By now, we should be able to finance our basic needs ourselves. And if we are going to look at the next 60 years as a period of transition, a period whereby we can stand on our own feet, our perspective has not to be what the French taxpayer decides to do with whatever surpluses that they have in France. They're welcome. They're appreciated. Whatever interventions that the French taxpayer through their governments make to us are appreciated. We're not going to lick a gift horse in the mouth. But this continent, with all that has happened, is still today the repository of at least 30% of the most important minerals of the world. It is a continent of vast, arable and fertile lands. It has the youngest population of any of the continents in the world. So it has the energy and the dynamism. We have seen it. These young men who are showing so much resilience and ingenuity in crossing the Sahara, finding ways to go across with rickety boats across the Mediterranean to really, those energies, we want to have those energies working inside our countries. And we're going to have those energies working in our countries if we begin to build systems that tell the young people of our country that their hopes, their opportunity are right here with us. Migration and the movement of people is being presented in a manner which suggests that somehow it's a new phenomenon. There's nothing new about it. It's as old as man, the movement of people. And it has always been linked to the same thing: the failure of where you are to provide you with an opportunity, so you move somewhere else. Those of you who are familiar with 19th century European history would know that the biggest wave of immigration in 19th century Europe, the latter part of it, came from Ireland and from Italy. Waves upon waves, generations of Italians and the Irish people left their countries to seek the American paradise, largely because Ireland was not working, Italy was not working. Today, you don't hear it. Italian young people are in Italy. Irish young people are in Ireland. We want young Africans to stay in Africa. And how are they? And it means that we have to get away from this mindset of dependence, this mindset about what can France do for us. France will do whatever it needs to do for its own sake. And when those coincide with ours, tant mieux, as the French people say. But our main responsibility as leaders, as citizens, is what we need to do to grow our own countries. What are the institutions that work, that will allow us to have good governance, to have accountable governance, to make sure that the monies that are placed at the disposal of leaders are used for the interests of the state and not for those of the leaders, to have systems that allow for accountability, that allow for diversity, that allow for people to be able to express themselves and contribute to fashioning the public will and the public interest. Our concern should be with what do we need to do in this 21st century to move Africa away from being cap in hand and begging for aid, for charity, for handouts. The African continent, when you look at its resources, should be giving monies to other places. We have huge wealth on this continent, in our own country of Ghana. And we need to have a mindset that says, we can do it. Others have done it. We can also do it. And once we have that mindset, we will see it as a liberating factor for ourselves. We keep talking about how it was that Koreans, Malaysians, Singaporeans, who got their independence at the same time as us. We're told of that at the time of Ghanaian independence, per capita Ghanaian income was higher than that of Korea. Today, Korea is part of the first world. So is Malaysia. So is Singapore. What happened? Why did they make that transition? And 60 years after independence, we are where we are. Those are the matters that should concern all of us as Africans, as Ghanaians. And not, when I say so, with the greatest of respect to the French president. I think that the cooperation of France is something that I am, as you know, a strong friend of France. I am Francophile. So I don't have any difficulty with that. But I'm talking about our own propulsion, what we need to do to get our countries to work so that we can create the conditions that would allow our young people to forego this hazardous effort to get to Europe. They're not going there because they want to. They're going there because they don't believe they have any opportunities in our countries. So that should be our focus. And I believe that with that if we change that mindset of dependence, that mindset which is contingent on aid and charity, we would see that in the decades ahead of us, the full flowering of the African peoples would take place. And that new African personality that was talked about at the time of our independence will become real and imminent in our times. That's what I'm saying. I hope that I'm not upsetting the questioner or even some of my friends who are here. But these are my strongly held beliefs. And that is the reason why I've adopted as the slogan of my presidency, of my period of the Supreme Office of Ghana, that we want to build a Ghana beyond aid. A Ghana which is independent, which is self-sufficient, that is capable of standing on its own feet and building its own life. We can do it if we have the correct mindset to do so. Mr. President, those are my contributions.
Well, so that was the big speech. Now you've heard it again. I'm sure that most of you, our viewers, may have seen this on social media anyway, but here it is again. So our studio audience, who are young people to whom this message must resonate, are here with us, and they will be giving us the understanding. We'll begin with Shafiq at the back of the group. So tell us, when you heard, how did you see this video, by the way?
I mean, just like almost everyone else, I saw it on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see the video when it first came out, but then people were talking about it on social media. I have a friend in Zimbabwe who apparently saw the video. I'm a debater, so we do debates around Africa. So then he saw the video and he was talking about it. He was talking about how excited he is about Ghana's president. So I was like, I need to go see this video. Then I saw the video. But then I think for me, I look at it two ways. I think the president's answer was very important because it was coming on the back of what's happened in Burkina Faso when Macron was over there with the president of Burkina Faso, and when he was asked a similar question, and he said, he answered in a very derisive way, if you could say. He said he is no longer the colonizer, and then the Burkinabe shouldn't be asking him for stuff. That answer actually ended up infuriating the president of Burkina Faso. So I believe the president knew about this, and then in a bid to not get Macron to maybe give such an answer, even though, of course, we know the president has always been saying that he wants to see Ghana beyond aid and that kind of stuff. But then the second way I look at this is that I don't just look at it at the angle of Ghana Beyond Aid. I look at the answer he gave about migration, which to me was the most important part of this whole conversation, because we've always been hearing Ghana Beyond Aid, Africa Beyond Aid. But I think the answer he gave about migration was important in the following ways. One, he didn't just do the same old talk about stay in Africa, build Africa, because we know staying in Africa, like he said, the realities is that people leave because of economic empowerment. If the situation was that Africa was well developed, they would have stayed. But then he goes further and then he tells us that you look at Europe, you look at the migration wave in Ireland and in Italy, and how they were all moving to the USA. So he situates this answer within this context and then tells us the way Europe was able to reverse this trend of migration was by empowering his own people. So then the answer to me was important because he looked at migration, which is something African youth have been engaged in a lot, especially now that people are talking about the slavery crisis in Libya. And then he told us that the way to stem this outflow of people from Africa is by ensuring that we have economic advancement and development. And that to me is the most important thing, and not just Ghana Beyond Aid, because we've been hearing this. We heard the former president, Mahama, talk about it. Everyone talks about Ghana Beyond Aid. But then, what is the essence of Ghana Beyond Aid? Let's keep the young people in Ghana, young people like ourselves in the studio. And that's why I think it's very important.
Round of applause. I think that's a very, very beautiful answer. I'm not done with you. What are you studying, Shafiq?
I'm studying law.
At the University of Ghana?
At the University of Ghana, yes.
Okay, great. So you want to be a lawyer beyond aid?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely want to be a lawyer beyond aid.
Excellent. Let's hear what Abna has to say. Abna is next to speak on this matter. So, Abna, yeah, so you also tell us, where did you see the video? Social media, I guess, Facebook?
Yes, definitely, Facebook. But before I saw the video, just like Shafiq, some friends of mine from Nigeria and Liberia had told me that, oh, your president is very intelligent. I was like, what's going on with my president? What are you talking about? So I had to go on social media to see what was happening. And yes, that's when I came across the video.
And when you heard the speech yourself, what was your impression?
Well, for me, as a young person who is very passionate about neocolonialism and us as Africans moving beyond the colonial mentality, that was kind of a spot-on answer for me. When I saw the video, I was like, was this question staged? Like, he had the perfect answer. Just like Shafiq said, the point on slavery, migration, that was excellent. But the highlight of that answer for me was his point on us building our industries, investing in ourselves. For me, neocolonialism is like, it's just come back to bite us, the exploitation that comes with it. And it usually comes in the forms of aid that comes with conditions. So we just end up going round and round. We keep borrowing over and over again, and then we blame it on slavery. Asians were also involved in slavery. They were also colonized, but they've built their economics. Singapore is up there. Japan is up there, China is up there. They were all colonized at one point or the other. So for me, I think that was a very strong message for us as Africans, and also for other African leaders who almost always go cup in hand to these Western countries to ask for aid. So for me, it was a very strong message, and it was very important for me that it was made at the place where it was made, and in the presence of the person it was made, because France is a very powerful country. France gives a lot of aid, especially to the countries they colonize. 14 African countries depend on France. And from my friends in those African countries, they talk about how France manipulates their politics, manipulates their economy through the aid, and even manipulates their president. So if something like that is going on, I think it was very important that he made that comment in front of Macron. And I hope that he not only talks, but follows through. From the vice president, I heard about the deal with China. He mentioning it wasn't a loan, it's a partnership. That 15 billion or million, I stand to be corrected, is not a loan from China. It's just an investment in our industry. It's a partnership and all that. I hope that it just follows through. I think I also watched the press conference or video on him talking about we stopping AIDS altogether from Denmark and Netherlands by 2030 or 2020. I also hope that he really follows through. So for me, it shouldn't just be talk. He should follow through with action.
Thank you very much. That is Abena, who is Abena is an anti-neocolonizer. She doesn't like neocolonialism, but her point is that the president must follow through with some of these things. It's not just talks. Kweku is next, isn't it? Okay, Kweku, stand up. Let's hear you.
Looking at the answer, you can get that.
Now, I didn't ask Abena what she's studying. What are you studying, Abena?
I'm studying journalism.
Journalism. Okay, great. Yes, Kweku.
Okay, there have been waves of African leaders that have had similar opinions in the past. Patrice Lumumba, for instance, made such similar statements in the presence of the Belgians during their independence, and we all know what happened to him. Abu Sankara, for instance, of Burkina Faso, quite in the 80s, and we know what happened to him. It's quite important that he was also able to place his feet on the ground and make that similar statement in front of the French president as at that time. But the most important thing is, having made the statement, yes, we can talk and leaders can talk. How are the Ghanaian people going to come together, rally and actually effect change? I think that's the most important thing we should look at. Yes, he has made the speech, he has talked, but the most important thing is actually walking your talk, or making sure that what you believe or the dreams you have is actually realized. If you look at the president's speech from independence to the 6th of March, you observe that he has this sort of pride in the Ghanaian people, that we can do it, and that in as much as we have been colonized, it does not necessarily mean that we should be at the bottom, and that our minds also should be colonized. It's a very important mindset. But how significant is this mindset if it's not going to yield anything in the end? Within our politics, we have this sort of divisive tendencies whereby policies brought by this party may not go down well with the other party and all sorts of things. So I believe that going forward, yes, we believe in the Ghanaian people, that the Ghanaian people can do it, the Ghanaian people can effect a change, and that migration is wrong and all that. But the real work should be done with the people itself. We should be the change we want to see. If people want to stop migrating, if people want to develop the country, then it's the people that should rise and do it. Yes, the government should create a conducive environment and supporting growth and all that. But majority of the work also lies on the people and how we're able to come together and say we are placing our minds to something, we are doing something, and that we would want to create the Ghana we want to see. So that's my thoughts on this speech.
Thank you very much. Round of applause. What are you studying?
I'm also reading law.
You're also studying law. Okay. So before we go to Asantewa, Pakwisi Sam, who is watching us on Facebook, says, President has taken a bold step. I called that a sacrifice. We as Ghanaians will have to back him, he says, and walk the talk. It must start from the top anyway. And Samuel Boateng says, the president has spoken well. We need action from our president to back his words. Nana Fosu says, surely Ghana will work again. And if you are watching us, we are live in Metro TV studio. We have already looked at what we did a year ago during the election night coverage. But now we are talking to young people, the most important people of our development, young people, about how they see the famous narrative that President Akufo Addo gave about keeping a Ghana beyond aid, a Ghana that doesn't go with cup in hand begging. And he said that in an important press conference with the French President Emmanuel Macron when the latter visited Ghana recently. Three of our people have already spoken about it. Shafiq, Abena, and Kweku have spoken. Now is the turn of Asantewa to also tell us how she sort of related to this. Hi, Asantewa.
Hello.
Okay, so what did you think when you heard this?
Okay, the first thing I said was, wow, because what he did was in the right direction, as Benewa and Shafiq rightly said, because Ghana is 60 years now and we are looking at mobilizing for our nation's future. I believe the future of Ghana resides in us, the youth, and coming from a bold leader as our President Akufo Addo, I believe was in the right direction. But as Shafiq rightly said, President Akufo Addo has made us understand that we don't need aid. So since I believe he said that for future perspective, he should try as much as possible to make sure that we do not go in a condition whereby we would definitely need the help of the Europeans or that of France. Again, I believe what he did was so perfect because as a youth, I felt so proud of my president standing up against one of the world's most powerful people. As Benewa said, he supports over 14 countries, and he being able to stand up against him, even though, like, to some extent, all odds were against us. because you are saying that we don't need aid, and what if it gets to a point in time you need aid from a country like France? What next? So I believe President Nana Akufo Addo has given the youth, more especially, a tax to make sure that our nation do not go to a point where we would have to beg. Thank you very much.
What are you studying at Asantewa?
Political science and theatre arts combined.
Political science and theatre arts?
Yes.
So you can act? So you can do a poem now if we ask you to.
I can.
Okay, let's hear you, Bright. It's time for Bright to speak. Bright is one of our old friends. Bright, how did you receive this message?
Thank you very much. I was very proud of my president after I had a chance to watch the video. His boldness was, for me, on point, and he did it politely in a very professional manner. He couldn't have said it in any better way, because aid has been a tool for imperialism. Having been a student of sociology and reading development, I had a chance to read about Dabisa Moyo. I had a chance to read about Teresa Hayter, and I realized that it has been a tool of imperialism. And so I was personally proud of my president, having heard him say that amidst the challenges he's going to face after such comments. Now, in the 1970s, about 10% of Africans were poor. In recent times, we have about 70% of Africans being poor. We keep on going for loan. What has the aid done for us? If aid is something good to go by, our conditions should be improved by now. So I think that aid has worsened our conditions than doing us a lot of good. Now, I had a chance to read about corruption from Imani Ghana, Franklin Kujo, and that was last year, 2016. He stated clearly that every year we lose $3 billion every year through corruption. And I think that we are not fighting corruption because we are always assured of aid coming from somewhere. So the president stating clearly that we are not going to go in for loan, for me, was a good point he made. It would make our leaders accountable to us, because looking at the conditions that come with the going in for aid is something we can look at. The draconian conditions that come with it. Sometimes we must give contract to those we are going for loan from, and the money goes back to them. So in actual sense, the aid we go for is not doing us any good. It is doing us more harm. So for me, we must commend our president for taking the bull by the horn and making it clearly that Ghana is surely going to grow beyond aid. I am so much proud of my president. I call on all Ghanaians to support his ambition, his goal, and let's make Ghana proud and let's make Ghana work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Bright. And I noticed that Shafiq wants to say something. Bright, you are finished studying university, so what are you doing now?
I'm doing my service at the Dankwa Institute.
You are doing your national service?
Yes, please.
At the Dankwa Institute?
Yes, please.
Okay, interesting. I have some people watching us from all over the world, including the UAE, and I also have a very critical text message that I will read. It's by King Sadiq. He says that Ghana beyond aid cannot be achieved when we still have 110 ministers of state. Ghana beyond aid cannot be achieved when our ministers are driving V8s. Ghana beyond aid, he says, cannot be achieved when appointments are made on partisan basis, unlike what happens in Singapore. Eto Elung is saying to us that the president has spoken the mind of Ghanaians. We wish him well and the best to the citizens. Kofi Goa Goldman says, well spoken, but it's time to talk, to walk the talk. We are already 60 hearts late. And then Eto says he's watching from Ajman in the UAE. Thank you very much, Eto, for watching. Sorry about that. Nanaya Asari Ampofo says that he spoke very well, but should get ready for every word said. They will come for him. And Obofo Michael says he's watching from the United Kingdom. Thank you very much, Michael. Eben Blanc says, are the students all from Legon and their thoughts seem the same? Please, do we have a UCC student in there? UCC is in Cape Coast, and that would have meant that they would have traveled 2 hours on the bus to get to Accra for this program. Hopefully next year we'll be going around Accra, going around student campuses and taking views from students in how they think nation building should be done. It's one of the things that we are thinking about to do here at Good Evening Ghana. So hopefully we'll go to UCC and have a UCC edition. Thank you very much. For now, though, it's just Legon students because they were the nearest to us. Anthony Osetutu says, I'm very happy with the mindset of our youth. And I am delighted too, listening to these young people. the new Africa, he calls it. Francis Yeboah said, Nana Akufo Addo believes in Ghana as the Big Six believed in Ghana. I'm proud of my president because Ghana is already beyond aid. And Francis Ajay says, but are Ghanaians really ready to change? The president can do his best, but if the people don't cultivate that attitude for change, we will still be at the same place, marking time. And Jeffat says that what was the exact question or submission made by the French president before Nana Akufo Addo gave his response? Most of the videos on social media didn't capture that. Well, the French president had not spoken. It was in response to a question that was asked by one of the journalists. It wasn't in response to something the French president had said. It was actually in response to a question by the journalist. Akosua will now tell us how she saw it and what she thinks about it. Okay, let's hear Akosua.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hi.
So actually, before we got here, Shafiq and I were having a bit of a debate over the submission that the president gave. So I think I might be the only person sitting here wasn't just like too excited about what he said, because I'm thinking that what he said is really not too new to us. I mean, knowing that Ghana is beyond aid is something that even is taught in social studies. So the basic child in the society knows that there is gold, there's timber, and all of these things in Ghana. And if Ghana was to use those resources well, we could actually get somewhere. And that is taught in social studies. So in social studies, all of us know grow what you eat what you grow, all of these things that tell you that, yeah, if we do all of these things, then we can be very much self-sustaining. But the reason why we are not self-sustaining, even though we are taught all of these things in environmental studies and social studies, is because beyond the mindsets that he talks about, beyond the mindset of being independent, well, that's very general. But the mindset of the basic Ghanaian is a mindset that prioritizes the standards set by the European over the standards of the Ghanaian. So this is the thing. You would not want to go for aid, but somebody would not want to wear an African print like the way Benoit is wearing to certain places, because he thinks that the European standard of a nice suit and then a very good tailored trousers is the norm, and it's what to go with. And people will spend hundreds of dollars just trying to get to the European standard. And that hurts the country very much, because then we don't wear what we sow, we don't eat what we grow, and all of these things. And that is what really hurts us. And so for me, we do understand that Ghana can be very much self-sustaining. But from the top, I would have really loved to hear the fact that we have to get rid of that kind of thinking, of that kind of westernized way of thinking. Because, I mean, in 1957, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah made us know that we could do things for ourselves. Right from that in history, we knew. I mean, Jomo Kenyatta made Kenyans know that they could do things for themselves. That is a mentality that we know that exists. But the question is, how can we do things for ourselves? How can we get to the point where we are actually self-sustaining? And it goes just beyond going to someone to say, I want a loan. It then comes to a sense of pride and being patriotic, and then nationalism. And so if we don't tackle that, if we don't tell the average Ghanaian child that you don't need to actually wear a particular type of suit to look formal, and you could actually wear the kente and everything that we have here. You keep so much money within the country, and then you can grow your economic sector to the point where people would not want to live outside, live for other Western countries or European countries, because they think that is the standard, that is the country that is better and they have better conditions, and they'll stay within Ghana. So for me, I'm not just so excited, because Ghana Beyond Aid is an ideology that I'm sure all of us knew existed and was just reinforced by what the president said. But really, how do we get to that point? It just goes beyond telling us that we shouldn't go and borrow. But there are so many simple things that we have to do. For example, changing the mindset within which we think. Yeah.
Round of applause. So what are you studying, Akosua? We didn't ask you that.
Consumer science, family and consumer science.
You see, I have a very interesting research finding about this: eat what we grow and grow what we eat, and all of that. Because the point we make about that is that let's buy Ghanaian and let's eat Ghanaian and wear Ghanaian. So I'd like to throw a question to you about a common behavior of all Ghanaians when we go to buy bananas. When we go to buy bananas, we always want the local banana. In the context of banana, we never want the European one. So maybe there's something to say for quality, that if the thing is good, we will buy it. But it has to be good, Akosia. I'm really speaking directly to your point. Why is it that when we are going to buy bananas, we want the local one? And so the foreign bananas that started coming to Ghana over the last 15 years, they don't make the market because everyone wants the local banana. But when we go to buy rice, we want the polished rice. Does it not say something about if the Ghanaian thing is good, we will wear it? I mean, when Printex started doing their clothes, now all the young girls wear it to work and they wear it to formal places. The first lady is always wearing beautiful ones. So should it not be what we want to produce as Ghanaians, as students, if we want to produce something, try and produce the best to international standards because globalization is here and you can't fight it. If you do it well, Ghanaians will buy it. Rather than trying to whip Ghanaians in that compulsorily, you know, buy what you want to. The English people eat Chinese food. All over the world, the Americans eat Chinese food. Some people, South Africans eat Italian food. So it's really about make it well and we'll buy it because we are buying our local bananas.
Okay, so
yeah.
It's not as simple as that. At saying that, so we do understand the fact that there's globalization and all of those things that happen. But you see, globalization in the sense that, so we can be globalized, but then in the sense of being Ghanaian, I am very proud of my Ghanaian standards, and I really want to live my life following certain Ghanaian standards. I mean, when it comes to, it's not about just like buying bananas. When it comes to, let's say, for example, what formal wear is. So people will tell you that formal wear is what Bright is wearing in front of me. So that is the standard. And
no,
so
that's
if
national.
I want...
These days when you get invitations, say formal or national. So Kente works.
Well, if you're going for an interview, they
what you are wearing
when you're
probably
going for
works.
an interview, they don't give you such options as national or formal. You're supposed to come in a formal wear. But the Arabians tell you that their formal wear is what is intrinsically Arabian. So they go in their turbans and then their long gown, and that is what is formal for them. Yes, they eat other foods and everything, but when it comes to certain standards, they set from them standards that are Arabian. So when China wanted to become what it is today, it decided to say that, see, we have bamboo, and we are going to use bamboo for what we think that what we think is suitable for us. So decided to use bamboo for their housing, and so save money in terms of bringing in cement and all of those things to put up concrete houses and stuff like that, right? Now, here in Ghana, where we have a tropical weather, we still are being ruled by that colonial way of thinking, that Western standard that tells you that you bring in cement and then we can put up a concrete building, and so abandons the opportunity for research into how we can make Atakpame better for us to live within. So yeah, we can eat food from anywhere else, but when it comes to setting the Ghanaian standards, we should have those standards, and then that is how we can then go in and then make the quality things that we want to buy and then want to wear and all of those kind of things, right? So it's not as simple as eating or not, but then intrinsically the standards that we set for ourselves.
Clap for her. It's a very good one. Very, very good one. And Akusa would like to remind all of you that she went to Holy Child. What are you studying anyway, Akusa? You didn't tell us that.
Paul, I said it.
Oh, you said it? Okay. All right.
And consumer science.
I'd like us to recognize an important person who is watching us tonight. His name is Mr. Ransford Tete. He's the acting managing director of the Daily Graphic. He used to be the editor. A round of applause for Ransford Tete, who's watching us. I think there are two people who wanted to react. We have to still go and watch the Nigerian guy's endorsement, which is about 3 minutes. And then, viewers, I'll show you my photographs, the photographs I took last year on voting day, so that you can enjoy it with me. I think that'll be about it. So we'll take 2 comments. Shafiq first, very shortly.
Okay, thank you. So mine is more about the issue about aid. So my response was more on why, what was the most important thing in that conversation. But to talk more about aid, I believe the issue about aid is not that aid is evil. Aid is not evil. Back in history, there was the Marshall Plan. Post World War II Europe depended on aid, and it was through aid that they were able to bring themselves out of the throes of poverty and whatnot. The United States of America, for instance, still goes for loan from other countries. The issue about aid is, what do you use the aid for? That's why I think someone sent a comment that says you're not going to go, Ghana is not going to go beyond aid if we still having 110 ministers and whatnot. So when we go in for the aid, what do we use it for? And if you're going to use your aid towards infrastructural projects, towards projects that are going to bring about returns on that aid, then you're going to have a situation where the aid is good. But then if the aid is one where you invest every single thing into consumption, every single penny out of that aid into paying off debt or paying off the salaries of your of civil servants, if you have an over-bloated civil servant salary budget, then of course that's a problem. So I think the conversation about aid shouldn't just be one that is steeped in that Ghana does not need aid. Of course we do need aid, but then we need aid that is targeted, that is geared towards ensuring that whatever we spend it on is going to yield returns for us. So I think we need to move beyond that insistence that we need zero aid. Because not if there's no single country in this world that does not need aid. But then what do you use the aid for? That is the question.
That's very intelligent. When you talk like that, Shafiq, I get very proud of you. And I'm hoping that you went to Presec, did you?
I did.
Oh, you did? Absolutely. A round of applause. A round of applause. A round of applause. You speak like an Odade. That's very interesting. I'll come to you in a minute. Christopher, who is watching us, says that, Paul, please, you do well. But let's be sincere to ourselves. When we are divisive among ourselves and political parties, tribal lines, when some Ghanaians and presidents are better than others, when some being president but others left off the hook because, when some being persecuted but others left off the hook, please read it. Remember, we artisans also have a contribution to make. Thank you very much, Asigbe Christopher, for your message. And so I've read it. Tufo Kwame says, I love my president. He was bold and what he said is true. Ghana is far better than Europe, and the difference is institutions back home are not working. I think he's writing to us from abroad. Godson says that Akosua made my day. God bless you, Akosua. You are very intelligent, he says. Solomon says, I disagree with her on this view. Disagreeing with you, Akosua. This has nothing to do with what the president said. That we cannot rely on aid does not mean that we cannot use or buy things from foreign countries. I believe she should think about this again. Okay, King says, I love how the president consistently uses likes of Singapore, Malaysia, and Korea. Hello, good evening, someone says, please, I've heard you say Legon is the only school close to you, but I also think there are other schools like University of Professional Studies. That's correct. And Accra Technical University, among others. I think they can also be included. Certainly, they can. I agree with you. We just have to put this together very quickly. So yes, they are a big part of our plan. Danjuma Bawa says, the mindset of the new African is to eschew corruption and greed by our leaders. The youth should take the lead and the government should be encouraged by supporting us. The mindset is the bigger capital to build Africa. And Andrew says, how can Ghana be beyond aid when it's considered a blessing and a miracle to secure a UK visa? I think that's a point. That's the point that Akosua was making. When the city is treated with disdain and those who should know better transact in dollars, when politicians buy luxury properties in Europe and send their kids to schools abroad, when students spend their energies on European football clubs and wear their replica jerseys with glee, when will Ghana will be beyond aid when we become sincere, he says, about these things. For now, we are not. Very interesting discussion on our Facebook page. Kwabna Danso says that Ghanaians have taste for foreign goods. Chinese goods are not durable, and yet Ghanaians patronize it. How about that? We should patronize our own goods. You nailed it, somebody says. That's Papa. It says, Akosua Japan, you nailed it. Social studies and environmental studies taught us we can grow without aid if we believe in ourselves. Our leaders never walk the talk. Akufo Addo will not act what he said as president. He was not wearing a Ghanaian print when he was saying what he was saying. Anyway, that's interesting. Okay, yes, your comments, please. And then very quickly, 50 seconds.
Yeah, my name is, so I come from JIJ, actually. I'm the only one from JIJ. I have to speak about the issue about standards that Akosua was speaking about, because I was quite disagreed with her on some points. You know, because I believe that one problem we have with some of the things we have in Ghana is basically the quality of it. Like you were making at the point earlier, that is the quality. If you're looking at the rice that is being put on the market, the quality of it. There was a time that this palm oil that was being sold in the market, they actually diluted it with very, very dangerous chemical. And that's the Ghanaian quality that we talk about. And that's the Ghanaian patronage that we are always preaching. We have to improve upon the quality. That's why we can go and buy it. If the Americans are doing very quality goods, I'm going to get them my money and go and buy the American stuffs. Because I want it. I want to use it. And I want very quality goods to use. So the Ghanaians have to focus on improving upon the quality of their chairs, the quality of the dresses, so we can patronize it. Because everybody wants quality. And as long as we can find quality in Italy or quality in America, that's definitely what we're going to go to. So Ghanaians have to be respected. The producers have to respect us and produce very quality goods for Ghanaians. And that's when we come to patronize.
Thanks. Let's take Abna. Correct, yes. Let's take Abna on that last one before we go back to the videos.
Okay, so I get Akosie's point when she says that patriotism plays a very important role in all this. But then we should remember that stopping foreign aid has direct links with how we patronize our goods. You see, the thing is that when we patronize these aids, as I mentioned earlier, it comes with conditions. And some of the conditions are that we export our raw materials. And what happens is that when we export our raw materials, they just go, they finish it, they process it as finished product, and then we import it back from them. But then if we are going to stop taking these aids and then make sure that we invest in our industries, we are going to end up keeping our raw materials, processing them ourselves, and I'm talking about the quality at a very high quality, selling it in our market. And then when we do that, we are going to get the goods we will be proud of. We are going to give jobs to people, and we are going to build our industries, which in the end will mean that we wouldn't have to rely on foreign aid for our development projects. So it's kind of very connected. So we not relying on foreign aid means we having enough funds to build our own industries, do other developmental projects such that we'll be proud of ourselves as Ghanaians and our products we produce in Ghana.
Super. So Christian from La Paz says that today, for me, he says, today is the best edition of Good Evening Ghana and the best ever. Well, thank you very much. Akosua Japan has said it all. Let's create that Ghanaian identity and appreciate what we have. Too much partisanship along MPP and NDC lines is not helping us at all. God, he says, help and bless our homeland, Ghana. Okay, thank you. Let's see the video by the Nigerian endorser. We'll come back to the studio and wrap up. I hope you're enjoying this edition. We are now overrunning our time. It's 17 minutes past 10 o'clock in the night, but we'll be finishing shortly. This is a live edition of Good Evening Ghana.
This is a special message to the Ghanaian President, Nana Akufo-Addo. Sir, my name is Joseph Okechukwu. I'm a Nigerian Nollywood actor. I'm also an activist. And I want to let you know today that you have officially become my hero. I don't know if that means anything. I don't know if there's even anything. It doesn't mean anything to you. Maybe it does. But I just want to let you know, because I don't say this about many people, but I'm telling you today that you have become my hero. For the first time in my life, I just feel like someone else was supposed to be my father. For the first time. When I listened to you address the French president, I felt like you're supposed to be my father, or like I came out of your loins. You made me cry for the first time in so many years. I have tried as much as I could to wake my Nigerian people up. I have tried to tell them that we have just entered into a terrible situation of recolonialism again. By the kind of nonsense that is going on in Nigeria today, where the colonial masters hold sway all over again, all those wicked colonial ideologies and colonial schemings and patterns and actions of the past have all returned back to Nigeria. And the people are not even aware of it. Nigerians are burrowing and burrowing and burrowing themselves to oblivion, and yet nobody is even lifting their voice to say anything. We are even getting into a point where people cannot speak anymore about what is going on in the country. The wicked colonial masters are using the media machinery to mind control the people, to hypnotize the people, and make the people feel like they're fools. And people are even becoming fools, as a matter of fact. Nobody's talking. Just to hear you speak to this young man, to hear you speak the truth, the raw truth that nobody wants to talk about, it is such a breath of fresh air. God bless you, sir. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for telling Sarkozy that Africa is not for sale. Thank you so much for telling Sarkozy that his paymasters are not rich enough. They are not man enough to take over our continent. We never had independence, sir, and I'm so happy you know that. Our independence is just about beginning, and great warriors like you The true sons of the African soil like you are the ones who are going to lead that movement. That particular movement that is going to give Africa its true original independence. This is the birth of the African Renaissance. It is beginning with Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana. I am so proud of you, sir. I don't even know what to say. I'm so excited. For once, I'm feeling like I'm not alone. Because, you know, when you talk about these things, people look at you like you're crazy, like you're sick upstairs. To hear a sitting president talk about this, it is, I don't know how to feel about, I don't even know how to express myself. I am so excited. I'm so happy. Thank you. God bless you, sir. And let me tell you one thing, they're going to come after you. There is no two ways about it. I know these people. I have fought them. I have done so much. A lot of my people don't even know what I have done so far. But I know that they're going to come after you. They're going to want to find a way to replace you come next election. But I am devoting myself. I am volunteering myself in any way that I can help. Whatever you want me to do. Someone like you should stay and rule Ghana for the next 20 years if it is possible. I am telling you, I'm not a Ghanaian, and please forgive me if I am overreacting. But I'm telling you people, for those who don't know, this man you have as a president is the best thing that could ever have happened to the country of Ghana and to the continent of Africa as a whole. Nana Akufo-Addo, God will bless you. I'm going to raise a prayer squad that will pray for you almost every day until we defeat these wicked colonial masters. You have started this journey. We are going to fight behind you, and we're going to win the battle. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you. God bless you, and God bless everything you do. Whatever you lay your heart or hands upon, they shall prosper. All your enemies are going to... Listen, I'm going to pray for you. We are going to continue to pray for you, because the fight you're fighting is not for Ghana alone. It is for the rest of Africa.
Wow. Wow. That was something. That was something. That was really something. And we thank you all for watching, those of our viewers who watched, and those who just joined at the tail end. The program will be back on television tomorrow, but it will also be on Facebook after the program has ended, so you can have time to have a look at it. Down memory lane once again before we wrap up. Last year, this was me. I voted in Accra, but I went to Kumasi to conduct election day event. So that's me and the famous Kofi Boakye, who was then the regional commander. We had some photographs in front of Menchia Palace because I was covering the Otumfuo voting. This was the polling station in Kumasi near Menchia Palace where the Asante-Hene voted last year, which we covered. And okay, well, this is just the pathway, the beautiful pathway to Menchia Palace as we saw it last year. Kind of beautiful. So there he is. Otumfuo was casting his vote. I'm sure he was enjoying it. He was given a ballot paper with his people, and he cast his vote and put it in the ballot. This will not be the first time he's voting. I was greeting Menchia people, you know, just as we arrived. I thoroughly enjoyed myself that evening, and I got interviewed also by GH1 people who wanted to find out why I had come all the way to Kumasi to cover the Otumfuo's voting. And I then interviewed Kofi Boakye, DCOP Kofi Boakye, who was regional commander at the time. Without much ado, I will end this edition of the program. Thank you so much. I think that there'll be a lot of comments from this program. You have done well. I'm very proud of all of you. Listening to you talk as young people in the university, the way you conceptualize, the way you think, I think is absolutely encouraging. And if the president were to watch this, he would be terribly encouraged that the Ghanaian youth are seeing, are resonating with his message, and we are very happy. We have refreshments for you, and so we will do that after out there. A lot to eat and drink, actually. Okay, thank you very much. Good night.